We're waiting for Dr. Carole Lieberman. She's going to join us any moment now. And there she is, Dr. Carole Lieberman. She is MD, board certified psychiatrist, master's in public health, and she is officially America's psychiatrist. Hello, doctor. How are you?
Hi there. Fine, thank you.
Great. It's National Celebrate Space Day today. And it's also Mental Health Awareness Month. So I want to combine those two for something I had a real phobia about when I was a kid. I don't know if you know, years ago, there was this, this fear that was that there was this asteroid hurtling towards Earth and the government may try to break it in half, but it could blow up the whole planet. And as a younger kid, I remember always being really scared of it could just be Armageddon when I'm asleep. And it was like a phobia. Now they're saying there's this Chinese rocket crashing to Earth this weekend. Is this going to heighten people's anxieties around the world for where the rocket might land?
Well, if China says that their out of control rocket won't hurt anybody, maybe we should believe them. But then, of course, they said the same thing about coronavirus. So
yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah, I think I'd rather take my chances with the out of control rocket hurtling towards Earth than the out of control pandemic that they foist on us. That's
right.
Sure.
Exactly. Well, I have divided how people are feeling into 5 personality types. You're going to be as scared. I mean, obviously your childhood memory is something significant, and other people who have that too. Or also there was the movie, right? There was a movie about the asteroid coming to Earth. I don't remember what it was called, but
Yeah, with Bruce Willis and and he sacrificed his life. He ran the rocket into the sky and blew up.
So where's Bruce Willis when we need him? So people are going to have different reactions. There is the type that's the catastrophic thinker. And that is a person who, regardless of whether there's a rocket hurtling to Earth, they are thinking every day that there's going to be some kind of catastrophe, whether it's going to be an earthquake or they're just going to go out into the street and get run over by a car. They catastrophize things, catastrophic thinking. Then a person who is a little less scared of the rocket, and the catastrophic thinking, they're scared of everything. So the rocket now gives them a reason to believe that they're right. The fearful fanatic, that's a person who's a little less fearful because they are doing things about whatever it is that they see coming in the world that they're afraid of.
Like what? Wear a helmet?
Well, that's the thing. For a rocket, I mean, I think the only thing you could do is if you had an underground bunker or something. There isn't much you could do with a rocket. I don't know that a helmet would help that much. But I bet you there will be people out there wearing helmets. Then there are fatalists. Fatalists are people who believe they're calm relatively calm, because they believe that whatever happens, if the rocket ends up in their backyard or a million miles away, that's what fate meant it to do, how it meant it to happen. Then there are the people who are cynical. They're jaded, particularly after the pandemic. They have been in touch with their mortality, and it has made them feel cynical about what's going on in the world, and feeling that there isn't anything they can do about it, and life sucks. That's basically what they're thinking. Then the best type is the resilient type, and these are people who have hopefully used the pandemic and the incidents of this past year to work on themselves, to make themselves more psychologically healthy and physically healthy. And these are the people who are going to be the least afraid of any kind of rocket that might fall down near them.
I'm not that afraid of the falling rocket. I mean, you probably have a better chance of getting hit by lightning than you do getting hit by fragments of a Chinese rocket. But Doc, I did want to ask you this because I've been covering this story for a little bit, and I want to. It's emerging now, which I'm really happy about. But many states now are starting to legalize psilocybin, magic mushrooms. I don't know if you know about this, but the hallucinogenic mushrooms, they're organic mushrooms, and states are starting to legalize it. There are these ongoing studies that treating military folks with severe PTSD with micro doses of the magic mushrooms is having effects that's never been seen before with any pharmaceutical. It's having tremendous results. You know anything about how this affects PTSD, folks?
Somewhat. I mean, I know they are trying to foist this idea, this treatment on psychiatrists. I do not believe in it. I think it is more dangerous than helpful, and I would not prescribe it. It bothers me every time I see something about it, because there's usually somebody's getting rich off of something, if they're trying to promote it that much. So, I mean, magic mushrooms and other kinds of psychedelic drugs go the other way. Now, I get the idea of just having micro doses, but the studies haven't gone on long enough to know whether there is ultimately going to be some kind of an impact.
So I just want to say that, in my life, if I may have hypothetically ever sampled these type of products, I've had nothing but pleasant experience. So, I start wondering, like, other people that have this stuff, maybe they turn to a bottle of alcohol, or they start taking some painkillers to dull the pain. And I only think that brings people to a worse place. So I don't know. I just thought it was like an organic alternative and it was working.
You mean you're in favor of it?
Yes.
Oh.
Of course I am.
Well, I have tried various things too, like going to Peru.
There she goes. All right. Tell us more.
Ayahuasca. I don't know if you've ever had that, but I had that with
wow.
4 shamans in the middle of Peru, the middle of the Amazon, with 4 shamans having ayahuasca. That is taking a risk. So rockets don't seem like anything.
Wow. I gotta look into this ayahuasca now. Dr. Lieberman, you fixing.
But I'm not saying that people shouldn't, I mean, depending upon the circumstances, but as a cure for PTSD, I just first of all, there are all different kinds. I
don't think what I read, and I don't think it's a cure. I think they're using it as kind of like a maintenance a treatment rather than a cure. But maybe what are the best treatments for severe people?
Well, this is a big part of the problem too. I know is part of the treatment, but the most important treatment for PTSD is psychotherapy. Yes, there are other drugs also. There are antipsychotics that some people need who have PTSD. And you also might need an antidepressant because a lot of people have PTSD with depression. And those work fine if they're taken with psychotherapy, at least once a week, if not more, ongoing psychotherapy. But, everybody wants a quick fix. So the idea of taking a magic mushroom.
I mean, let's also, I mean, you are America's psychiatrist.
Yes.
So, of course, your business model would want you to have ongoing psychotherapy. It pays the bills. But no, I think you're right. But, the problem is the VA, for these veterans and stuff, they don't have, some of these guys have to wait so long of a time to get intensive psychotherapy treatments that in between they get more severe and turn to other things. So maybe I'm with you, but in the meantime, a lot of these soldiers wind up, broke, homeless, mentally unstable. And I thought, hey, if weed's legal, why not? If microdoses of mushrooms are at least keeping them stable, that they can get to a job and function, that's probably a good thing. I don't know.
Well, do we know that that's really doing it, or is it the contact with the mental health professionals, even though it probably isn't intensive psychotherapy? Sometimes there have been studies that sometimes just the contact, having to go to a mental health professional to get a drug or, some kind of medication or whatever does help in a way because they feel supported. I don't think that the results are sufficiently in. And
Okay,
maybe
yeah.
I'm one of the
Yeah, I mean,
gated type, you know.
she's the best.
I believe that you have to look for the other part of it. And the other part of it is, yes, it does cost a lot of money for the VA to give a psychotherapy, more money than just giving a pill. So yeah, you have to really look at all of those things.
Yeah, no, for sure. What does that mean, Doc? We got about 3 minutes left. What does that mean when you say like intensive psychotherapy? Do you have to take these patients all the way back to the genesis of the issue and have them relive it and then start to take them down a new path with how to, compartmentalize that and put it away?
Well, it's getting the person to, of course, you start with whatever the issue is that they come into you for, some kind of, trauma. But the root of all trauma is in your childhood. Whatever it is that makes you sensitive to a trauma in adulthood comes from a trauma in childhood. So yes, you go back to childhood and you cry, you talk about all of these different things, the times you were humiliated, sad, all of that. And the more you express it, the more it kind of levels out, the more it calms down and you can tolerate it. And instead of having the ideas, otherwise you are having to push all of these traumas from childhood down into your head, and that takes down into your unconscious, and that takes a lot of mental and psychological energy. So if you can express it in therapy and understand it, the psychiatrist is supposed to be making links between things from childhood and things that you're feeling bad about today. And
Wow.
so when you understand all of these things, when you get insight into all of these things, that's how you feel better and you know how to cope with the current things.
Some of my closest friends are involved in the recovery community and, people. And I just heard a crazy stat that I think it was 60, almost 2/3 of the people who are in recovery or who are drug addicts, their initial issue from their childhood was sexual assault.
Well, a lot of times that is at the root, and people are self-medicating. They don't want to, they're trying to forget it, so they take drugs or alcohol. It also, the primary problem from childhood is that they don't get enough love. And which, of course, if you're being sexually assaulted, that would go along with that. But they don't get enough love. And so they grow up with an emptiness inside of them. And they try to fill this emptiness with alcohol or with drugs or something like that. Same thing with eating disorders. They're trying to fill themselves up, fill up the pain, the emptiness, the hole from growing up in a dysfunctional home.
Get it. And then I would imagine, over the years, it hardens these people to, being able to understand how to accept someone actually caring for them on top of it, because they have they've spent so many years trying to bury this thing and then pour drugs and alcohol and anything else on top of it. Yeah. So if something transmits like a positive signal, they don't even know how to receive that.
Yes, it's very frightening to them. They don't know whether they can trust it, because in their childhood, they trusted their parents and they found out that they were untrustworthy, either because they didn't give them love, they abused them or whatever. And so it's scary to have someone want to come that close to them, even though, that's the love.
Yes. Wow. That's amazing. And I guess, in many aspects, you're the psychiatrist, but, with these military veterans, that they've been in a traumatic situation, a bombing, an explosion or something, similar thing, any little noise that triggers something in your head, your whole body turns into fight or flight mode.
Right. Yes, that's a good way of looking at it, comparing them. It's true. It's kind of an unconscious or automatic reaction.
Right. To fight or flight or something, I'm just rattling off my 7th grade psychiatry general notes, but I remember the fight or flight was, most of those people at that moment, they choose flight over standing there and fighting the trauma inside. They take off and try to go to another place, alcohol, drugs, anything else to ignore that.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, I can just take you off the path of what we were talking about. And that's why she's America's psychiatrist. She's not one of these talking heads that needs a whole bunch of notes in front of her to cover topics. And that's how you know she's thorough. And we're going to have to check back on the ayahuasca because, I was goading you a little. I do know about the ayahuasca. And, maybe another day we'll get a couple of martinis and Dr. Lieberman and get her to tell us about her exploits in Peru with the shamans and the ayahuasca. Wow. That sounds like a fun day.
Okay.
Dr. Carole Lieberman, thank you so much. You're the best. Thanks for joining us.
You.
Have a great weekend. All right.